Hey everyone. I've been looking at your annotated bibliographies or your structured research notes so far, and there's a couple of things that I want to draw your attention to, and I want you to go back and check just to make sure if you guys are doing it wrong. So one of the big ways that you're going to be graded on your final structured research notes, the ones due at the end of this week, is on how well you conform to MLA formatting. I'm going to show you really quickly my example text. This is my sample text for the Baby It's Cold Outside annotated bibliography. Okay, and I want you to notice first off, you've got right up here, you've got what's called a heading, and over here you have what's called a header. This is your page number, your last name. These have to be on there. And you'll notice that the way that I got onto my header was double clicking the top here, right? You want to make sure that it's aligned over to the right and not to the left. You'll write your name and then you'll insert page numbers. And for those of you who are watching, you go to insert, you go to headers and footers. You go to page numbers, and then you have a selection of how to do that. This is the one you want to use. You want to make sure every page has a page number on it, just like that. You just click on that one, and then you would write your last name in front of it. Notice the due date is down here, so this should all be double spaced. You need to have a title, even if it's something just like, the title of your project, and then it's an annotated bibliography or just structured research notes or something like that. Now let's get to the content of each one of your annotations. One of the things that I'm noticing is people are not doing their annotations in MLA formatting. Someplace that you might want to go is you'll type in OWL MLA, and this will take you to Purdue Writing Lab. The Purdue Writing Lab will help you format for these citations to tell you the basics of the citation. But you've got to do this in MLA. These have got to be formatted for MLA, right? So there's a place to go to help. You also have a section in your book, Everyone's an Author, that'll help you out with that. Every one of your entries on this paper, on this writing project, will have 3 parts. You will have the bibliographic citation, which looks just like this. This is for an academic essay. This one right here is for an online essay. I think I've got a video on here somewhere. This is a book, right? I tried to make this as much as possible, give you a variety of sources on here. It looks like I don't have a video on here. So I'm going to have to fix that for future classes. But there is a way to cite a video. There's a way to cite a meme, all of that kind of stuff. That is the first one, and this needs to be in alphabetical order on your finished document. Then you have the summary. This is the second part of every one of your entries. Remember what we're talking about in terms of a summary. I've done a video lecture on that that I posted a couple of weeks ago. You should be able to go back to that and watch that if you're confused at all about how to construct a summary paragraph. But to give you a very, very quick overview of summary paragraphs, your first sentence in a summary paragraph should give the gist of your source. For an argument or an essay, that's going to be the overarching argument of the entire source, the whole point of the source. For a video, just a quick summative gist statement about what the video is about. If it's a video argument, it'll be an argument. But if it's a movie or a short film or something like that, the gist of the story. Then you have to separate your text into sections. The second section or the second clause or sentence is going to be a summary of the first section of the article, the first part of it. The next is the second part of the article. Then you've got the third part of the article, the fourth part of the article, or the conclusion. So just separate it into chunks. Now, the length of your summary will really depend on the length of your source. Shorter sources will have smaller summaries. Longer sources will have longer summaries. Also, notice that I'm using quotes in here. I would encourage you to use quotes But notice also that I'm not just dropping quotes in here, big giant quotes from the essay. I am subordinating the quotes to my own voice. It's a very important skill to learn. And then the last part of each entry is going to be your annotation. This tells your reader and you, how is this source useful for your overarching essay, for your research project? How is this going to inform your research project? That's what your annotation needs to answer. Why do you find this useful? You'll notice on this one, my annotation is actually longer than my summary. And part of the reason for that is because this is a very useful source. This source has a very specific use, right? This source, I'm actually discussing how it fundamentally informs my ideas. This one has a slightly longer annotation as well. This one, a shorter annotation. This one, a very short annotation, because I'm just getting a history out of it. So the usefulness of the source, how it's going to inform your writing project, your research project, will inform how long your annotation is. Last thing I want to talk about, Times New Roman 12-point font, 1-inch margins, double spaced. That needs to be what you're doing. Actually, I don't think this one is double spaced. Let me make sure. No, this isn't double spaced. This is 1.5 space. That's double spaced. Okay, you want to make sure this is double spaced. Now that means that this is going to be a relatively long paper. That's okay. It is what it is, right? Don't overthink that. I also want to make sure that you put one space between each of your entries. And again, if I haven't said this already, I don't remember I said this, these entries need to be in alphabetical order. This is what each of your entries should look like. There shouldn't be numbers. There shouldn't be, some kind of a breakdown. You don't need to number the entries. I don't want you numbering the entries. This is an MLA formatted annotated bibliography. Okay. This is what it should look like. So this is what your finished draft should look like. If you're doing something else anywhere, if your summaries aren't summaries, if they're just talking about the text or responses to the text, that's not a summary. If you haven't done your annotations, you've got to get those annotations done. If your bibliographic entries are not done properly, you've got to get those bibliographic entries done. And they have to be MLA formatted. They can't just be the link to the source. They've got to be an MLA formatted bibliographic citation or bibliographic entry. And then these will eventually for whichever ones you use for your final text, these will be your works cited on your works cited page. So you're actually prepping your works cited page here. Some of your annotations and your summaries, some pieces of your summaries may actually be used in writing project 3 or writing project 4 at some point. So I don't want you to think this is just a waste of time. You're actually you're still working on building your research project. But in the final draft, this is what this needs to look like. And if it doesn't, you will not get a good grade on this assignment, on your final assignment. So the 2 that we've done previously, those were practice. But the one that's coming up, that's going to be due this weekend, it has to be MLA formatted. It has to have all of these parts to it, or else you're going to get a bad grade. This is probably the easiest assignment you're going to be doing. It's labor intensive. Don't get me wrong. I recognize that this is a labor intensive assignment. That's why I've split it up over 3 weeks. But this is the easiest assignment. You should all be able to do this. So make sure that your final draft looks like this. Now, one last thing. If it doesn't look like this, don't not turn it in. Okay? Still turn it in, even if it's not perfect, because you are supposed to be submitting your URLs. And because you're submitting a Google Doc, you can go and keep working on it after you turn it in. So make sure you get it turned in on time. And then if you need to fix stuff, go and fix stuff. But if it does not look like this, it will get a bad grade. If it does not have these 3 parts for every single entry, it will get a bad grade. If it is not in alphabetical order, it will be graded down. If it doesn't have a heading and a header, it will be graded down. No title, graded down. Okay? So I'm just sending this out because I'm seeing a lot of these that have not been done correctly. And this gives you a few days to fix any problems that you've run into. Okay? Anyway, that's it for me. I will talk to you later. Bye.